In today's mega comprehensive tutorial, we're going to be building a delivery app from scratch, step by step with no code. So you can think of something like Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, Grubhub, etc., etc. We're going to cover the entire process from beginning to end. And at the end of the video, you will have a very good understanding of what it takes to build a similar app yourself. Now, this comprehensive no-code app building tutorial is brought to you by Mastering FlutterFlow, which is my complete training on building no-code apps. When you join Mastering FlutterFlow, not only do you get access to step-by-step modules that walk you through the process of building any kind of app from simple to more complex, such as this one, but you also get access to our private Discord community, where we will always be happy to help you out with any questions, issues, or problems. So if you're serious about building no-code apps, definitely check out Mastering FlutterFlow via a link in the description just below the video. All right, so I went ahead and downloaded the screenshots of Uber Eats that we're going to be modeling our app on. Okay, so here we have a bunch of screenshots and we're going to get back to it. But first of all, let's talk about what we're going to be building. So we have the app architecture, and I look at this app primarily into two parts. I broke it down into two parts. We have the user browsing and the ordering flow. Okay, so this is just one flow. This is when the user is browsing, they ordered, and from the time they ordered their meal, we have real-time order tracking. And the reason I broke this down into two parts is because you will need to build them differently, as you're going to see a little bit later in the video. And it's very, very important to break things down into various subcomponents, okay? Next, we also need to build out the data model. We're going to be using Firestore in this specific project. And then later, we're going to test this app on a real device or on a simulator, which is pretty much the same thing. And we are going to be launching this app as well. Okay, so now let's take a look at the flows that we have. So I went ahead and created some screenshots from, Uber Eats. And this is important for many, many reasons. So you want to spend, a good amount of time on this, okay? So first of all, let's talk about the different flows, and then we're going to dig deeper and talk about some of the things that we need to keep in mind. And so when they visit the homepage, they they have the search bar here, they have their location, they have various categories they can pick from, and they have the list of restaurants with various metadata about the restaurant. So the name of the restaurant, the delivery fee, maybe how long it's going to take for the food to be delivered, and things like that. And this right here, this is the homepage list view, right? So this is the list view that we're going to be focusing on apart from this, right? This is kind of the header. It's fixed. This is going to be the list view. Next, we also have the browse, right? So this is the different tab here. So this is the homepage tab, and this is the browse tab. And so on the browse tab, they're essentially looking at different categories. Okay, so there's top categories: kebab, breakfast and brunch, coffee and tea. And we also want to implement this. And then there's the cart tab. Okay, so there's the cart tab right here, and obviously this is going to look different. If they actually add various items, menu items to this cart. And there's also an account, which is just generic account screen that I don't have a diagram for, but we're going to be building as well. Next, let's talk about some of the other screens. So if they click on the list right here and they pick a restaurant, let's say I want Brooklyn Bagel Boys, and I click on this, or in this case, Highway Bagels, right? So let's say Highway Bagels, and I'm going to be seeing various information. So there's the image, there's some ratings, the category, right? Maybe the price bracket, a bunch of other information. Now there's a kind of a sub page, right? So if they click on this right here, they click anywhere here, they're going to get another screen that's going to give them a little bit more detail. So it's going to show them on the map. It's going to have the address, a couple of more information, okay? Now, if they scroll down this list right here, they're going to see a screen that looks something like this. This is this detail screen right here. And so you're going to have the list of menu items, right? You're going to have the the actual menu item, the actual item that you may want to order. So like energy juice, you have the price, the description, you have the image. And then if you click on a particular menu item, you're going to have a screen that looks something like this. You're going to have the image in kind of bigger resolution. You're going to have the name, the price, the description, and you may also have options of sizes. So maybe you want small, large, special instructions, things like that. Now from here, you can, you're going to have this button and it's going to say add one to cart, and it's going to show the price. Now, when you click on this, by itself, it's just going to add it, and it's just going to reflect it. But if you want to go to your cart directly, you can do that, and you're going to see a screen that looks something like this, right? So there's your cart. You're gonna have your list of items that you have have added to this cart, and inside this list you can also add more items, right? You can modify them, you can delete them, and you have some special instructions. And you're also gonna see the sum right here. Next, if you click here, you're gonna be on the checkout image here on the checkout screen, and here you can pick there's some more options that weren't actually there before. This is new as far as I'm concerned. So you have standard delivery, you can schedule a time, and you have your items here, and you also have some special things that you can do it, make it a gift, promotion applied, and then you can click next. And the idea here is once you click next, you're gonna enter your credit card details, and then you're gonna send this order for provision for completion. And so these right here are kind of the main screens that we're gonna be building our app on. Now, this is very, very important, okay? When you are looking at the screen, and obviously this is going to happen as you get more experience, with FlutterFlow, as you get more experience with your no-code building skills, what you want to do is when you are looking at these pages, right, you want to start thinking in your head how you're going to be implementing, right? You want to start to think ahead, right? You want to start thinking ahead about this. And so as an example, right, so I have this list view, and this is very easy, right? This is your basic list component, and inside you're going to have cards, and you're gonna get this data from a collection, right? If you're using Firestore, you're gonna get this data from a collection. But there's also other things that are not as straightforward, right? So for instance, there's a search screen, and so this search screen, you have to understand how it works, right? Well, obviously, if I type something, I only want the things that matched whatever I type. Now, FlutterFlow has the functionality to do that. It's called like on-device searching or something like that, but it comes with its own gotchas. And so if you used it before, you're gonna know exactly what to do. If you haven't, this is something you're gonna be spending time on, right? Another thing you want to be thinking about is this thing right here, right? So what they're doing is they're listing lots of things. Obviously, we're not going to be listing like groceries and all of this, but what we're going to be listing is we may list the category of food, right? So for instance, if you go to this category here, there's kebab, breakfast, brunch. So we may list it as items here. And so how would you do that? Well, you need to know that, right? So these are all subcomponents. This is something that I do every time I build an app, and it really saves me so much time and saves me a lot of hassle and aggravation because I'm internalizing how to do it. So you have the search bar, you have this, and then you have your categories, which is just like a grid, just a basic grid that pulls categories and displays an image about the specific category. And that is something that we can easily do as well. Next, you have to think about how you're going to implement the cart functionality. Okay, so if you've never built an app where a person buys something, adds it to cart, the cart needs to be displayed, you need to keep state. That is something you have to think about as well. If you've built an app that uses cart functionality, then you're going to save a ton of time with this, right? So all of this is very, very important. And essentially, the next one is, if you have this thing, right? You click on this, you want to display a new one. This is not going to be a new page. Maybe you want to display it as like a pop-up, or maybe you want to display it as a drawer, right? That goes from the bottom to the top, kind of slides up. In other words, right? You want to be thinking about it, because once you internalize all of this, it's just going to save you a ton of time. It's going to be a huge, huge time saver. Okay. And one thing I haven't really covered at this stage yet is how are we going to be doing the actual ordering, right? And that is because ordering is going to be separate, and we are going to be doing that in a little bit later in the video. Okay, we're going to do an architecture and all of that for the ordering piece. The next thing you want to do is you want to talk about the data model, right? Very, very important to get it right. And I like to do it after I have my flows, after I have my screens and all that. So this data model is fairly simple, right? We have our restaurants collections, and we have a sub collection of menu items. Next, we have a users collection, and we have a sub collection of orders. And this is a sub collection that falls under users, but each document, in this collection, the order, the specific order, is going to be obviously linked to the restaurant, because we need that information to display it somewhere. But orders is not going to be under restaurants. It's going to be under users, because, a user orders something. A restaurant creates, a menu item is created by a restaurant. So you want to make sure you get this right. And I like to start out, fairly simple, because obviously this is work in progress, right? You're going to be building the app, and you may rearrange something, or you may add different fields and things like that. Okay. So we have the basic, structure of the app. We talked about the order flow, right? This is still, lots of things that we need to do, but this gives us a good understanding of what we need to do, a good outline, right? And if you scroll down, we have the basic data model. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a data model first, and then we're going to start building the app. Now, in order to build the data model, you want to go to your Firebase console. Okay, it's available at console.firebase.google.com. And once you come in here, depending on, if you have other projects that you've been working on before or not, you may have a screen that looks something like this. So as you can see, I have lots of projects here. I have like 4 projects. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to create a brand new project from scratch. And that way you guys can follow along. Okay, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to add a project, and I'm going to call it delivery app. I'm going to hit continue. Here, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to hit continue. I'm going to select my default account. I'm going to say create project. I'm going to wait a few moments. All right, the project is ready. We're going to click continue. And now you should be in the dashboard of your newly created project. Now, a project is basically an umbrella that hosts other services, right? So we have things like extensions, functions. If you expand this, you can see that we also have things like authentications, app check, Firestore. So lots and lots of services. And when you're building your app, chances are you're going to be using just a handful of these services. You're not going to be using all of them. So in this tutorial, in this app building tutorial, we're going to be using authentication, and we're going to be using Firestore database. So I'm going to click on authentication so that it's here, and I'm also going to click on Firestore database, and that way it's here. Okay, and I can also hide it if I want. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to click on Firestore databases here, and I want to say create a database. You're going to see this dialog box, and you need to pick the kind of mode you want to be creating it in. And so you can start in production mode or test mode. Now, I'm just going to start in test mode, and the only difference is that it's going to stop working after 30 days, right? So you can change that and all that. That's kind of the purpose of test mode, is that, if you forget about it, it's going to just deny all requests, right? You won't be able to access this data, but you can obviously change the rules and all that. But this is a good way to kind of start building your app. So we're going to say next. We're going to leave this at default. We're going to say enable. We're going to wait a few moments. All right, and now you should be greeted with a screen that looks something like this. And now you can start to create your schema. So I'm going to start a collection, and I'm going to call it restaurants. And now I need to create a document for that collection, right? The collection is basically, a list of documents, and a document is a specific entity. In this case, it's a restaurant. So let's go ahead and create like maybe 5 restaurants. So I'm going to say auto ID, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to say name is Little Italy. Let's say it's an Italian restaurant, and let's add a couple of fields. Okay, so we haven't talked about fields that much, but let's start with name, maybe a category, and category is Italian. Another thing that we can add is an address, okay, because maybe we want to display the address for the restaurant. So I'm going to say address, and let's say I put, I don't know, 50 Broadway, right? Assuming this is in New York. Broadway, New York, New York. Okay, and that's it, right? Now I can hit save, and now I have one document created, which means I have one restaurant here. Now, let me go ahead and quickly create 4 more documents, and that way we have 5 restaurants. Okay, I'm just going to do that real quick. All right, so I went ahead and created 5 documents, which means we now have 5 restaurants. So we have Little India, Little Spain, Little China, Little France, and Little Italy. Okay, so we got 5 restaurants. Now, let me go ahead and create a couple of dishes for each of these restaurants so that we can display them correctly. And for that, you can click on the document and you can start a collection. So here, we're going to call this menu items. Okay, I'm going to hit next, auto ID, and let's say I say name, I don't know, this is for which restaurant. So let's just call it bread, just to keep things simple. And here I'm going to have a price. I'm just going to put it in a number, and price, let's say $5. Save. And now what we have here is we have a sub collection called menu items, and that sub collection has one document called bread. And so I'm going to do that for the other restaurants because it's a good idea to have the same structure with all the documents, right? So I'm going to go back to restaurants. Here I have it. I'm going to do for the other 4 real quick. All right, so I went ahead and created this menu item sub collection for every document in restaurants collection. So every restaurant has a menu item, and if you open it up, there's one document here. Okay, so there's bread, there's let's see what else we have, there's rice. So it has one menu item. Every restaurant has one menu item that's a specific food item, and it has the name and it has the price. Okay, so now we've created this part here. We still need to do the users and orders, but fortunately this users collection is created automatically by FlutterFlow for us. So once we start building the app, it's going to be created automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so now that we've created the bare minimal that we need, because users is going to be created for us later on, we are ready to start building our app. Okay, so I'm going to log in into my FlutterFlow, which is my favorite no-code builder right now. So here I am in FlutterFlow. We're going to create a new app. Let's say we're going to give it a project name, and we're going to say delivery app. And we're just going to start with a blank app. You have lots of options here. I'm just going to start with a blank app. And now what we want to do is we want to make sure that set of Firebase is checked. We're going to hit next, and we are going to enter our project ID. So what is our project ID? Well, if we go back to Firebase, make sure you're inside your project dashboard. If you click here, you're going to go into project settings, and you're going to see your project ID. You can just copy that, go back to your app, paste it in here. You're going to press connect, and you're going to get an error because we haven't given FlutterFlow access to this project. It needs access in order, for us to build an app that changes some of the data around. So we're going to add this email as an editor for our project. So if you, in your project here, you're going to go into users and permissions. You're going to add a member, paste the email, and make it the editor. Add member here. And now if you go back and you say connect, it should connect. Okay, so now it has connected. You want to click on auto generate config files, generate files. All right, next, you want to make sure you enable authentication here, and you want to make sure you create user collection here. Now we need to configure our initial pages. And so we have this entry page and we have a logged in page. Okay, so we don't have any pages in this app yet. So we need to create these pages from scratch. So this entry page, if you click on this, you can create it, from a blank page, and that's fine. But there's a lot of, pages that were that come with FlutterFlow that you can use as templates. So if you go into Auth, you're going to see some authentication pages, and you can kind of decide what you want. I typically go for this one, but any of them is fine. So I'm going to say use my theme, and I'm going to call this login page. I'm going to say create page, and I need to do the same thing for this logged in page here. We're going to come in here. And what is the logged in page? Well, the logged in page is actually the first page that the user sees once they're logged in. And this is this page here, right? This is this page here. So we're going to come here, and we need to either create it from scratch, or we need to find a page that kind of looks like that. So if we go into lists, you can see that this is going to be a list, right? So if you scroll down, you can kind of pick, you know, the page that resembles to kind of what you want. And if you look at this page here, you see it's got this, it's a list, but it's got some stuff on top that we're going to add manually later. But this is a list with these big images. So that's kind of what I'm searching for. So if I see this page right here, you know, that kind of looks similar to what we want. So I'm just going to say use my theme, and I'm going to say home page, create page, start building. Okay. So now if we click here, we have two pages that, you know, we created so far, right? We also have a couple of errors. So if you click here, we have project issues. Now I like to solve my errors early on because, you know, I just want to fix things, and, you know, while I can, because later on I'm going to get errors anyway. So I don't want those errors to kind of pile up. If you click here, right, if you click here, you can see that we have an error when we're trying to create an account. And what does it say? It says auth action has improperly set confirmed password. This confirmed password field, there's nothing there. And that is because we don't have a confirmed password field when we create an account. So what we need to do is we need to pick this password, we need to duplicate it, right click duplicate. Now we have another one. And then you want to come in here and you want to make it password 2. And now if you come here to this auth action that was giving us an error, confirm password field, you can just pick password 2 and the error should go away. Okay. Next, we have another error, and this is an error for this home page. We just have this back button. We don't really need that. So if we delete that, the error goes away. Okay, next you want to kind of change this page around. So I'm just going to say home page just to keep things simple. And now what we need to do is we need to kind of, well, we need to fix this page up so it kind of looks the way we want. But before we do that, I want to connect this page. I want to turn this into a list view so that we pull up a list of restaurants that we have, okay? And before we do that, before we access the data that we already set up in Firebase, we need to come in here into Firestorm. We need to create a schema. So as you can see, we already have the user schema, but we need more, right? So we're going to come here. We're going to add a new users collection. We're going to call it restaurants. And this should match exactly to what you have here, right? So if you go back to Firestore database, you have restaurants. It needs to match exactly. It needs to match case. It's case sensitive. So whether it's lowercase, uppercase, it needs to match exactly. So we have restaurants, but we also have a sub collection called menu items. And in restaurants, we have 3 fields so far. We're probably going to add more fields later on. We have address, category, and name. And so if we go back to our app, we are going to create this, and we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to say name. We're going to pick string, say okay, category. We're going to pick string, say okay, and then address. And same thing, string, okay. All right, now we have 3 fields. Now let's go ahead and create a sub collection, and the sub collection is going to be called menu items. This is a sub collection of restaurants, create. And now we need to do the same thing. And I believe I have like 2 fields there, right? I think it's name and price. Name, price. Okay. Of course, we may add more fields later on. We're just, you know, trying to get going, right? Name, string, price. Price is going to be, we could make it a double, but I'm just going to make it an integer just to keep things simple. So we have name is string, price is integer. And by the way, the difference between integer and a double is that integer is a whole number. So like 5, 10, 20, 100, 1,000. Whereas a double is, you know, it has a decimal point. So like 10.5, 10.2, 10.7, etc., etc. All right, so we have this set up. Another thing that we need to do is for the users, remember we have a, what do we have? We have the orders. right? So we're going to go back here and we're going to create a sub collection inside users. And we're going to say orders. This is sub collection for users. Create, start from scratch. And what do we want in the orders? Well, the order is basically the menu item, right? It's basically the menu item, the information from the menu item, so the name, price, etc. But it also needs to be a link to the restaurant, right? To that specific restaurant, we're ordering from. And it also needs some specific time. So like the time it was ordered, the status, things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say restaurant ID or reference. And this is going to be a reference to the restaurant. I'm going to say document reference to the restaurant. And then some specific information to the order. So something like timestamp. Is going to say timestamp, and timestamp is going to be the date time right here. That was when the order was placed. And now we also need the status. Okay, so the status is going to be the string, right? So maybe the status is going to be I don't know, like pending or paid or placed or delivered. Lots of different statuses that you're going to see. But right now, that is kind of what we have, right? The reference of the restaurant, the timestamp, when it was ordered, and the status of the order. All right, so now we have some minimal information, and that is good because at least we can build an app that displays this minimal information. This is a good start. We're going to go back to the UI builder and we're going to start building. Okay, so this thing, I want my list to be a list of these items here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top level. You see this list view already exists here. I'm going to go to this list view actually, and I'm going to say this list view needs to add a backend query, right? So I'm going to do a query collection. And I'm going to say restaurants, right? Because we're displaying restaurant information, okay? I'm going to say confirm, confirm. And now, as you can see, it replicated these items for me. And they're kind of grayed out because this is how it's going to appear, right? You can't edit this, but on the screen, you're going to, it's going to be replicated. Now, we wanted to delete all of this. We don't need, this month. We don't need that. We want to delete all this stuff. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find these things. So there's another list. We're going to delete that. There's another list right here, list view. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to delete this last month. Okay. So now we just have a simple list view that maybe, we can say restaurant. Okay. Something like this. Now, if we run this app, we should hopefully display some of the information, okay? But before we run this app, as you can see, we're having project issues. This is not an error, this is a warning. So if you click here, it's telling us that the rules have not been deployed, and rules are permissions. Basically, you're giving the system information as to how and who can access the data in your Firestore, okay? So right now, we have this thing here that specifies this is sensitive data, and it's not, restaurants is not sensitive, menu items is not sensitive. And anyway, when I'm testing my app, I want to, open my permissions as much as possible, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to deselect this to keep things simple. And this is fine. And for the write and delete, I'm just going to make it everyone. It's not going to happen, but this is good for testing, and that way you don't have any issues. For the users, I'm just going to leave users collection, and then I'm going to click deploy. All right, I get the screen that tells me, before and after. I'm just going to say deploy now, and now it's deployed, and now we don't have any issues at all, okay? So once we have this, and we have like a little mini app that we built, we want to test it out. So I'm going to click here. We're going to test it out. We're going to build a test environment here. All right, and now our app has loaded and we're seeing the login screen, because that is the screen that you see if you have not logged in before. Remember, we enabled authentication in our app. So we can, continue with Google and Apple, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a basic account. So now as I'm typing it, you see, you can't really see what's happening. And that is because this template, it looks like there's a small bug, right? So I want to fix this because I can't really see what I'm typing all that well. So if I go back and I click on email and I scroll down, as you can see, the text color is white, and it shouldn't be white. It should be dark. So dark, and I'm going to fix this right here. This here, come in here, make this darker. And then I can go back here, and instead of rebuilding the app, I can just do something called an instant reload, which is gonna rebuild the app, but just fix that change that I just made, fixing that bug. All right, so now if I type, you see it's much better. So I'm gonna type, I'm just gonna create a sample account, okay, and I'm gonna say get started. But I'm getting an error. And the reason I got an error is because if I go back, I haven't enabled authentication. So inside of my dashboard for my project, I need to go to authentication. I need to click on it, and I need to say get started. And now that I've enabled it, I also need to enable the provider. Okay, so I have lots of different providers, and this is a way that users can authenticate. So I have Google provider, Facebook, they can authenticate with their Google account or Facebook account, Apple account, GitHub, etc. But I'm just gonna keep it simple. I'm just gonna do email and password, right? We're gonna do that. We're gonna enable, and we're gonna hit save. Okay, so now we have this one provider enabled. Now we can go back to our app here. We can fill this out. We can say get started. So it creates our account, and then it redirects us to the main page. And so now if we go back to our Firebase project and we go into users, you can see that we have a new account that was created, right? We have this account. And now, every time I go to the app, it's automatically going to log me in as that account. But if I log out, I can log back as that account. I don't need to create a new account. So now we're looking at the homepage, and what we're looking at is a list of all the whatever we fed into it. And right now we have a list of restaurants, and so we have 5 items, but it's not displaying the information. And that is because we're displaying the items, but we haven't really set the names and the information from the actual document. And so for that, you can click on a specific field, come here, and then you have this restaurants documents, which we're getting from the database. And I can call this name, and this one I can call it category, right? So I can come here, category, and then we have price, but we don't need price. And now I can go back, I can do an instant reload, and hopefully it should display some of the information that we want the user to see. Okay, so now we have the name of the restaurant and we have the category. We can delete this because this is going to be for menu items. We don't really need that right now. So let's go ahead and fix this up. So we can just press delete and it's gone. And if we look at the main page there, we have we have other information. We have the name of the restaurant, we have the delivery fee, we have the time, yeah, and then we have the rating as well. And so we can do ratings as well. We're going to be doing that as well. We can display it, but right now I want to display this thing up on top. Okay, so I want to display a search bar. I want users to search. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the search bar because that's kind of involved, but that is a good feature to have. And so let's go ahead. So we have this column and we want to have we have this text, but above that, we want to have a search bar. So if we click here and we click here, we can search for templates. So in fact, type search, you have a template. So I'm going to select this and it added it to the bottom. So we're going to drag and drop it up on top. And now it should be up on top right here. Okay. So it looks good. The only thing is the colors. Let's go ahead, click on the container, scroll down. We have this fill color and we're going to make it light. Okay, we're going to make it light, and the text color, let's make it a little bit darker. Now that looks good. And so now if you reload the app, let's go ahead and reload the app. And once we reload the app, we have an error. So it says here, no font family by name clash display was found. And the reason that happens is that one of the things here, one of the text elements is trying to use a font that we don't really have. So remember, this worked fine, but we added this. And so if you click on here and if you scroll down, it's using Clash Display. Okay, so if we click on Clash Display and we just go to theme fonts and we just pick our theme font, it should be fine now, right? So if we come in here and we reload it, it should hopefully work. That is another small bug because, this template is using a font that is not installed by default. So now, as you can see, everything is working. We have the restaurants with the sneakers, and then we have the search. Now, the thing about the search is that nothing happens. If we press enter, nothing happens, right? And that is because in order to implement search, you have to do a couple of things. Okay, first of all, if you click on search field, right, if you click on this and you come in here you can open an action. So you can do unsubmit or unchange. But what exactly do you want to do? Well, that is the thing, okay? If we click here and we add an action, the action that we want to add is something called simple search. You can type simple search and you want to click here. And now you can specify what exactly do you want to be searching, right? Do you want to be searching a Firestore collection, documents, or strings? Well, in our case, we can do a Firestore collection here, right? So we can do a Firestore collection. We can select restaurants and we can say name that we want to search, and the value, well, the value is this widget state field, right? And in fact, I want to change it. I want this widget state, I don't want it to say text field, I want it to say input search. Okay, and so now if you click here, we have this input search. And now let's go ahead and reload the app and see what happened. All right, so now we have the search bar. Let's go ahead and type something, and nothing is happening. You see, nothing is happening. And the reason nothing is happening is because this thing is searching, but we're not displaying this information. So it's getting this field, it's doing the filtering. But remember, this list view here is just getting data straight from a database. So we need to change how it works, right? We want to display just the search stuff, right? We want to display the search, the stuff that's being filtered. And so for that, we need to click on list view, and we can get stuff from a database, right? Because the database is, it's directly from a database. So we need to remove this backend query, and we need to click here. And now if we click here, to get stuff from another array, we have the simple search results. So if we click here and we say confirm, and then we call it restaurant, and we say confirm, now what's happening is that we are searching, which filters the stuff from a database and only displays it here, right? So let's say we click here and we display the name, restaurant item name. This thing is going to be restaurant item category. And now we don't have any errors. We're all good. Let's go ahead and reload this. And now when we load the app, we're not seeing anything, okay? And the reason we're not seeing anything is because we haven't searched for anything, okay? It's how the search functionality works. We haven't searched for anything. So if I type little, it displays all the restaurants because they all have the word little in them, right? And now if I delete this, it still displays all of them because now I've searched for something. Well, I've searched for nothing, but at least I executed the search, and that is why it's showing the restaurant. So if you reload it from the start, if the user sees the app, they're not going to see anything when they load it. And that is because we haven't searched for anything. That search functionality is not there. But if I type, little, it's going to display all of them. If I even delete it, it's still going to display all of them. If I type something random, it's not going to display anything. Okay, so this is a weird behavior. And you need to take that into account. So you need to change the way your app looks. And so what's happening here is that you have two situations. You have one situation where the user loads the app and we're displaying the search results, but there's nothing in the search results because the user hasn't searched for anything. But then we have another situation where the user searched for something and we now need to display what they searched for. And then we have a third situation where they searched for, but they searched for nothing. And we need to display all of them because, they didn't enter a valid search field. So in that case, we need to display all of them. So you need to refactor how your app works. And the way you want to do it is you want to have two lists. Okay, so one way of doing it is we're going to go to the home page, and on the home page level, we're going to do a backend query directly from a database. So I'm going to do a query collection, and I'm going to say restaurants. Okay, so I'm going to say get a list of documents, and I'm going to do that. So now when the app loads, we get a list of documents, we get a list of restaurants regardless. And here, when they search for something, we're going to display their search results, but we're going to display it conditionally, okay? So initially, because they haven't searched for anything, the search results is empty. So we want to display the list directly from the database. If the search results has at least one element, we want to display the search results. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, what we need to do is we need to create a custom function. We come in here that checks if there are search results, display search results. If not, display the regular list directly from the database. So we're going to come here. We're going to create a custom function. And I'm just going to call it get list. And this function is going to return a basic list, a list of something. Okay, so in this case, it's going to be a list of restaurants. So I'm going to say list of documents. I'm going to say restaurants. That's what it's going to return. And the arguments that we're going to be defining is going to have two arguments, and this is going to be the list and the search results. So if the search results is empty, just display the list. Otherwise, display the search results. That is the correct logic, but we need to implement. So I'm going to call this get restaurant list, something like this. And the first argument is going to be the main list from the database, right? So I'm just going to say list. We're going to say list, and I'm going to say documents, and I'm going to say restaurants. And then the second arguments are the search results, right? So this is going to be the search results list, and I'm going to say we are going to do document, and we are going to say also restaurants. Okay, so we have two arrays, two lists that are going to have different values, but they're of the same type. Okay, so we have this get restaurant list, and now we need to make sure that we conditionally return the right list. And so the way we do it is we can just say return, and now we're going to say search results length is greater than 0, return search results. Otherwise, return list. And that is kind of how you do it. That is the expression, the way you do it. You can just click here just to check, say function. And now we need to check this function for errors, and it should be fine. You always need to do that. There's no errors. And now you need to be using this list in many places, right? So if you come back over here, this list view, we're not going to be doing simple search results because, when the app loads, we need to display the data straight from the database. So I'm going to come in here, edit this, and I'm going to say get restaurant list, and I'm going to pass the arguments. So we need to pass the restaurant documents, which we have at the homepage level, confirm, and then we're going to pass the simple search results, which we have because we have that search action, confirm. And now we say confirm, and now when we reload it, initially we should be displaying data from the database, and then as the user started to search, we should be displaying data that the user is searching for. As you can see, this is this initial data, and now if the user types like little, they're going to see everything, but even if they remove it, they're still going to see everything because that's how search works. Now, there's a couple of things that we can do. If we go back and we click on this input search, we can also have it search on category. It could be useful. Name, category, address, probably not so much, but name, category could be useful. We're going to reload this. All right. And now we can search on category. So I can type Indian, and I'm seeing Indian. I can type Spanish, and I can see Spanish. I can type Spain, and I should be able to see Spain. I can delete all that, and I can see everything now, which is good behavior, actually. I can type France, and I'm seeing French. Okay, and I can delete it, and I see everything. So this is good behavior. It works as expected. It's just a little bit tricky, this search functionality. All right, so let's go back to the diagram here. And the next thing I want to work on is this browse functionality. Okay, so in this page here, on this screen, they're displaying different categories. Okay, so that is exactly what we're going to be doing. And I also want to display them in this kind of format. So let's go back to the app, take a look at our pages, and let's add a new page. We're going to say browse. In fact, we can see if we can find the page. So if we type, there's nothing there. And if we go into list, which is, kind of a list, I don't see any grids. I don't see anything looking like a grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this page. I'm going to say browse, create page. And now we have this page. And this is a list view. I don't want the list view. I want the grid view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all this. I'm going to delete all that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the column as well. And I'm going to create a grid view. Okay, so now we have a nice grid view. And this order now, let's rename it to categories. And we're going to delete that. And now let's set up our grid view. So what does the grid view need to have? Well, in this case, it's an image and a text wrapped in a container. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come here. We're going to add a container. Inside a container, we are going to have an image. Actually, we're going to have a column, and then we're going to have an image, and then we're going to have text. Okay, so something like this. Now let's take a look at the grid view, and you can configure how you want it. So if you take a look here, it's 2. right? There's just 2 horizontally and as many as you can vertically, right? So that is what we need to do. And this cross-axis count, we're going to set it to 2. And this looks good. Yeah, looks fine. And now if we go in here, you see, we don't see the text. The text is not showing up. And that is because there's some overflow. If you click here, you're going to see an overflow. And that is because the image is expanding beyond where it needs to. So if you go to the image and if you click here, you see now it's better. This is better. This expansion is better. We want it to expand. And now we can see the text and there's no overflowing. Okay, so if you come in here, this was the default. This default expansion, there's overflow. But if you come in here, there's no overflow. So that's kind of what we want. And let's give it a little bit of padding up on top. That about right. Maybe 5. Yeah, that's fine. And let's take a look at this grid view here. And we have some spacing, right? So you can delete the spacing. Well, it's going to be visible once we load it up with data. And how are we going to do that? Well, if you click on grid view, you can do a backend query. The problem is we're going to have categories and we don't want to load it up with all the categories because, we have a list of restaurants, each one is going to have a category. There's going to be some repeating categories. We don't want to do that. We want just a unique list of categories. So how do we do that? Well, we need a custom function. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come here. We're going to create a custom function, and we're going to say get unique categories. And this function is going to return a list of strings, and it's going to take in also a list of strings. And these are going to be just a list of all categories, and it's going to return a list of unique categories. Okay, so we have a list of categories here. We're going to be passing. I'm going to show you how. And then what we need to do is we need to do return categories to set to. Okay, and the reason we need to do set, because this is a list. So we were saying, take that list, convert it into set, and then convert it back into the list, is because a set removes duplicates. Okay, it's a little tip there. Okay, and we're going to say save. We're going to check for errors, see if there are any errors, no errors. And then we're going to go back here. And now we can click here, this generate dynamic children, generate children from a variable, come here, search for our function, get unique categories, and then we're going to pass it the list of categories. Click here, and we need to load up our restaurants, which we haven't done yet. So we're going to go over here, top level, get our list of restaurants, because we need to get the categories from the restaurants, query, restaurants, list of documents, confirm. And now we can go back here, back to this grid view here, and now we can do our function, get unique categories. Categories, we need to pass restaurants, but we're not going to be passing list of documents. We just need those categories as fields from each of those restaurant documents. So we're going to come here, map list items, and we're going to do category. Okay. We don't want to filter, no filter changes, confirm. This is a really, really powerful feature. Very, very useful. We're going to say categories. Click confirm. And now we can click on the name, click here, categories item, confirm. And now we have this, this is going to list the categories. Let's give this page let's give it an navigation bar, show nav bar. Nav bar is off in the settings. We're going to enable it, and then we're going to set our 2 pages. Home page is going to have a nav bar, show nav bar. And what do we want as the nav bar? Something with home. Right, something like this, and then browse, maybe a magnifying glass. Do we have something? Okay, type browse. Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense. Magnifying. I don't know. I'm just gonna pick a map. Okay, you guys can do better than me. All right, so we have this. The other thing I want to do is I want to give this padding. Maybe give it maybe a 10 padding. Okay, that looks better. That looks cleaner. Let's give the container maybe a little bit of. Okay, that looks a little bit cleaner. That looks better. All right, so we have categories. Let's go ahead and run this page. Start a new test environment. Let's see how that works. All right, so this is our home page. Let's minimize it. And if we click here, we have our categories. So as you can see, we don't have the images because we haven't configured them, but we do have the categories. And as you can see, these are unique categories. We only have 5 restaurants, but even if we had 100 restaurants, we would only have unique categories, assuming we don't have any variations of these names. So if you have like 10 Indian restaurants, we're only going to have one Indian category, which is exactly what we want. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that the image is correct here, right? So that we display the restaurant's image. And for that, we need to add images. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add another field in our Firestore database. So if I come in here and I have restaurants, what I need to do is I'm going to add another field. So I can just do this and I can say image. This is going to be a string, and then I can just have the image of the restaurant. So I'm going to go ahead and find some random images to add here, and I'm going to add this real quick. I'm going to add a URL here, and I'm going to add another image here. And now let's go back into the app and let's fix the homepage here. So, but before we do that, we need to make sure they're part of the schema. So we're going to come back here, restaurants, add an image field. I'm going to say image path, set it. Okay, we're going to check our custom functions a little bit later. Come here and now make sure it's on network, restaurants documents, restaurant items, image. So now let's go ahead and check functions. Okay, we did that. And now if you reload it, we should do it. We should see the newly updated app. All right, look at that. So these images are random, obviously. Okay, so they're not really connected to the restaurant, but you guys get the picture. Now we can go into browse and we have these things, but nothing is really happening. Okay, so ideally, you want to click on something and that should drill down into that category. And we're going to do that in just a second, but we also want to display the image as well. Now, the way that we want to do it here is that if they click on a category, we want to drill down on these restaurants. We only want to display the category that they selected and maybe give them an option to clear it as well. So there are a couple of ways of doing it correctly. Let me show you how you can do it, okay? The first thing that you want to do is you want to set a filter on this homepage list here. You want to make sure there's actually a filter that you filter these the list by, okay? And the way that we can do it is we can go over here, we can go to the home page and we can create a local page state variable, and I can just call it filter, or restaurant filter. And this is going to be a string, and the initial value, nothing is going to be initial value. We're just going to say confirm. And then what we can do is we can go to this main query here that gets displayed initially, and we can say, well, we don't want to display everything. We want to filter if there's a filter. So we're going to edit this backend query. We're going to have this filter, and we want to filter by category, and we're going to say equal to, and we want to say we want to use our page state variable. And very important, you want to ignore empty filter values. So if there's no filter, we don't want to filter by some empty value. We want to hit confirm. Now, if we reload this, initially there's no filter set, right? Because we're displaying everything, and we want to make sure that that's the behavior. There are no other bugs. So we're going to reload this app. Okay, so as you can see, there's no filter, so it's displaying everything. But when I click something here, I want it to redirect with a filter already. And for that, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to browse, and we're going to go on the container level, and we are going to do a redirection, but we're going to pass a parameter with this category, okay? So we're going to do navigate to homepage, and we're going to define a parameter, and we're going to say, this is going to be category, okay? And then it's going to be a string. We're going to say confirm. We're going to say pass. And what is the category that we're passing? Well, it's this categories item. So now, when the person clicks on it, it's going to redirect to the home page, but this time we're going to pass a parameter. And so now what we want to do is we want to come here, and we want to set the filter to the parameter that we might have passed. So this homepage here, when it loads, we want to set the page level, right? So we're going to open it up, this page. So we're going to say page, update page state, restaurant filter, and we want to set it to the parameter, if any, right? So we're going to do a page parameter category. So that's what we want to do. And now, if we pass it from the other page, it's going to have a parameter, okay? So we're going to come here, and we're going to reload this page. Okay, so now when we reload the app, if we go into browse and let's say we only want Spanish, we click here and we're only seeing Spanish here, okay? Obviously, if we search for anything, it's going to display everything again because once you search, you know, that's it. You're displaying something else. So I can type India here and it's going to find India. I can remove it and it can find anything, but at least the filter functionality now works properly. I hope you're enjoying this comprehensive tutorial so far. Just a quick reminder that you will be able to view and or clone this app as a member of our amazing Patreon community, and you can learn more about it via a link in the description below the video. All right, so coming back to this diagram, we have some more screens that we need to build out. So we need to build out this screen, and this is kind of this restaurant info card, right? So if you are looking at a restaurant, right, at the menu, you can click on maybe somewhere here or this thing, or just about any place here, and you'll be able to get kind of some information. So a map, the name, you know, what they serve, address, when is it open until, and some more information. So we want to do this page there. Then we want to do the menu, right? This is the menu page here when they click on the restaurant. And then we have the menu detail. And then we have the cart and the checkout. So let's go ahead and create this detail page here. Let's create these two pages now, and then we're going to continue. So the first page I want to do is this detail page here, which is kind of like the list of items and the restaurant detail all rolled up in one. All right, so let's go back to our app. Let's create a restaurant detail page here. And this is going to be a content page. And let's see what we can use. So maybe something like this with the image up on top. Yeah, I guess any one of these should work. Let's see. There's lots of detail pages. So yeah, let's get something simple. How about this? Let's just do this one. And I'm going to say restaurant detail. Okay, create page. And now we have this restaurant detail. We're going to keep this. This is going to be what? What do we have? Well, nothing. There's nothing up on top, so it's a different layout. But what we want to do is maybe have the name of the restaurant. But before that, right, we need to get the actual restaurant that we're clicking on, and that's going to be a reference. So we want to go to the top level. We want to create an incoming parameter. This is going to be restaurant ref, which is a document reference, not a document. The document reference, and it is required, of course, the restaurant confirm. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to unpack it. We want to do a document from reference, restaurants, and this is page parameter here. So now we have all the information that we can start using. So we can click here. We can go to this restaurant document, say name. This could be the image, restaurant documents image. In fact, maybe this should be actually, let's change it. Let's remove it. Let's say restaurant details. And then here should be the restaurant name. Okay. And what do they have on that page? Well, they have a lot of things, right? Open until. So we have the name, we have the rating, we have the type of restaurant. So let's go ahead and start with that. Yeah, the name is up on top, and this thing here. So as you can see, this is a column right here. What we want to do is we want to convert this into a row. Wrap this widget in a row, and that way we can have things arranged horizontally. So I'm going to add another. Actually, I can just duplicate this. Duplicate. I'm going to duplicate a couple. And we have this duplicate. I'm going to give it a little bit of padding. Maybe 5. Perfect. And let's start filling in the data. So we first have the ratings, and I want to do that, but we don't have any ratings set up yet. So let's put some random dummy data there. Let's put 4.8, 100 ratings. We'll fix it up in just a second. This thing is going to be the type of restaurant. We have that information. I think it's category. So we have category. What's that last one? So there's the dollar amount. We don't have information for that yet, so let's just leave it. But we're going to say open until. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. And then here I'm going to say we're going to do a combine text. I'm going to say open until, and then we need the time that it closes. Okay, so we don't have that. Let's go ahead and add that information. This is going to be good information. So let's go ahead and add that to the restaurants. Let's say open, and we're going to do, let's do a timestamp, and let's do 10 a.m. So it needs a date. I'm just going to put a random date because we only need the time, right? We only need the time. Open. And so I'm going to do this real quick. Put the random date, and let's say they all open at 10 a.m. So real quick, open, timestamp, 10 a.m. And that way we can get any date that we want. Doesn't really matter. We're going to do that right here. Open. And we also need the close. Let's add the close, do a random timestamp. And let's say they close at 10 p.m. And we also, yes, we also need to add it our schema. We can do that right here. Restaurants, we're going to say open, date time. Okay. And now what we can do is we can do something like this. This is a combined text, open until, and we can add text, and we can say, well, restaurant, we can say close, and here we can format it. Okay. We can say, well, we only want the time, that, okay. Something like this. Then we have this description here. So I'm just going to put some random text in there. Maybe we'll add a field later. Description. And then we can delete all this. We don't need that. Yeah, we should probably leave the button. No, we don't need the button. Do we need the button? No, the button is going to be over here. So remove the button. It's a nice button there. We'll try to have this kind of button later, but we do need a list of menu items. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We have this one column here. Let's add a list view, and this list view is going to have these menu items from this restaurant. Here, add a backend query collection, menu items, value source from variable. This is going to be restaurant ref. List of items. Yep, no filtering, nothing. And now we created a query, and now we can add inside the card, we can have text, but it's a certain format, is it? Right? This is kind of how it looks. So we wanted to list like this. So which means is that there are two columns. This is one row with two columns and then a bunch of other things. So let's go ahead and try to replicate that. So we're going to have a row, and then we're going to have two columns, and then another column. Okay, it looks good. Let's center it. It looks pretty good. We can even expand it later on. We can do something like this, and now they're fully expanded, and we can arrange them the way we want. So let's take a look at what we want. We have this. We have the name of the product, the price description, and then we have the image. So let's start with the image first. And of course, we don't have the image in the menu item, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna add it. We're gonna say image here, and now we have a random image. All right, let's give this. We need to list the name, the price, and description. So come back here. Let's add a name, price, something like this. Okay, looks good. Give it a name. Menu items document name. Menu items document price. Let's format it. Number format, and we can do custom, and we can display as a currency. And then this thing is description. We don't have the description field, but we can add that later. Let's give it a little bit of padding, something like this. Yeah, that looks pretty clean. All right, that looks pretty nice. Let's see if we can change the image, something like this. Okay, that looks pretty clean. All right, so these are going to be the menu items, and maybe we have this list view. We can also add this list view here, description text. We can duplicate that and put it below this divider, one below. So, and then we can say, this is, I don't know, what does it say there? Nothing, right? Picked for you, or menu items. We can just say menu items, menu, whatever. You guys get it. Menu items. Want to center it. We can wrap it in a row, but I don't think centering it is a good idea. something like that. You can center it if you want, but nothing is really centered. And so that's our menu item. So let's go ahead and start a new session, see how that looks. All right, so here's the app, except we forgot to create a link. So if we go back to homepage, we can do it on the container level. We can add an action, navigate to restaurant detail. We're going to pass a parameter of restaurant reference, confirm, and yep, looks good. Let's see if that works. All right, now it's clickable. If you click it, there we have it. Okay, so as you can see, bread, description. We don't have an image for each of the menu items. That's why it's not displaying an image. We're going to fix that later. This is hard-coded, Indian, and 10 a.m. open until 10 p.m. Okay, this 10 a.m., what is that? It's probably open, probably when it opens. Come to our restaurant detail. Oh, no, it's a hard-coded. So, yeah, I don't think we really need that. It's not really necessary. I think, what do we have it on the main page? Oh, the price. So maybe we'll do that later. I don't think it's that important right there. But at least we have open until 10 p.m. because we're just grabbing the date to display it. One good idea would be obviously to change this to have a whole, weekly schedule, right? So for instance, we have a restaurant and you might want to store when it opens each day of the week. And the way you want to do it is if you add a field over here, you can do it, working, open days, something like this, and you can have an array. And then you can have an array of dates, right? And that way you can cycle through the date, figure out what date you are now, day of the week, right? And compare it and show that if you want. But this is nice and quick, nice and easy. Now, this ratings, let me show you how you can do it. We don't have a page that rates. You do that later after you get the order, after everything is delivered, you have a page that displays it. We're not going to build that UI, but I want to show you how to do it, right? So if you go to this restaurant, let's say, let me do it for one restaurant. Let's say Little India, right? So we have this Indian. What you can do is you can create a collection called reviews or ratings. Actually, let's just do review. And then what you want to do is you can have two fields. So you can have one called rating. This is a number. And let's say we create, let's say it's 1 to 5. And then you can have a review. This is a string rate restaurant. Okay. So now this has one review. Let's add another review. And we're going to say rating number, let's say 4. Somebody didn't like it. Review, awesome, but slow service. Okay, so something like that. And now you have two reviews. And now we can go back to our schema and create a new sub collection, right? For restaurants called reviews. It says restaurants start from scratch rating, which is an integer, and review, which is string. Okay, so we have rating and review, and now you can display this data. So it's very, very easy to do. So you're going to have two things happening here, right? You have the average, and then you have the number of ratings, right? So two different things. And so what you want to do is you want to go to text, combine text, and here you're going to have the average, right? So you need a custom function to do it. Okay, you need a custom function to do it. And you can come in here, you can create let's say, create a new function. We're going to say get average rating. Okay. And what are we going to do? We are going to get a list of ratings, a list of integers, and we're going to return a double or an integer. Doesn't really matter. In fact, why don't we return a double and we get a list of integers? We're going to say list. We're going to say integers. This is our ratings. And we're going to return a double. So now we have a list of ratings. Okay, so we have a list, we have an array of ratings, right? And these are going to be integers. And so what we want to do is we want to sum them up. We want to sum all of them up, and we want to divide by the number of, the number of we have. And you can use this little shortcut here to sum them up. So we can say this is our sum, and we can say ratings. Something like this. This is the sum, and then we can just return sum divided by ratings. Okay, and now you're gonna get a double back. So save it, And now we need to pass the list of ratings, but it wants a list of integers. So we're going to come here and we're going to go to restaurants. And what we need to do is we need to pass the ratings, but we don't have any ratings, right? So we need to do another query on this level. So if you come in here, we can do it on this text level. That's going to be even better, right? So we're going to go in here. We're going to do query collection. We're going to do reviews from variable, and what we want to do is restaurant ref, and we want to get a list of documents. Okay, so now we have that list of documents on this text field level. So now what we can do is we can do this combine business that we wanted to do before and say, and so this is going to be the average, and here we are going to do get average rating, and now we have access to this reviews. Okay, so we can pass it, but we want to map. We want to only pass the ratings. We can't pass the whole thing. So we're gonna map them. Come in here, pick rating, confirm, no further changes. Okay, that's it. And now we can do formatting and number format. Let's see. Do we want to format? We can do a custom format. No, we don't really need to do a format here, no format. All right, and so now what's going to happen is this thing is going to give us the rating. It's going to give us the rating, confirm, but we have this text combination, right? The next thing we want to do is we want to have the number of reviews. And for that, we don't need a custom function, right? All we need to do is we can come in here, pick reviews, and we have number of items. Okay, and that's going to give us number of reviews. And there are 2 reviews, and the rating is like what? 4.5, I believe. Let's go ahead and compile our functions. Okay, compiled. Let's reload. If that works. All right, so we have this little Indian. Let's click on that. Look at that, 4.52 Indian. Okay, that's what we got. So if we come in here, now it says Indian here. I think, because it's 2, 4.5 and 2. Okay, so we need to do another thing. We need to have a blank. We need to have a space. Another thing that we can do is this get average rating. What we can do is, let me show you what we can do. We can do something like this. Put that up on top. It's gonna be like this. This is gonna be like this. Add another one. This is going to be a space. So this parentheses, open parentheses, the average, close parentheses, space, and then number of ratings. And then we can have, okay, confirm. Let's see what that looks like now. Load that. Okay, there it is. So this is the average, and it says 2 reviews, and then this is the category. It kind of looks like, it says ratings. What did I say? Reviews. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So looks good to me, and there's the star, and we can also add a star if you want. Text combination, add another, so this should be ratings. Let's put that all the way up on top and put a star in here, okay? So we can have a star like this maybe. Okay, looks good to me. Looks pretty good, except the formatting is the other way around, right? So let's fix that. Let's keep it consistent, and that's very, very easy. Put that right here, right here. So now this is star, number, space, open parentheses, number, close parentheses. Try that. Just to keep it nice and consistent. All right. Okay, perfect. Looks pretty good. Now you can have a dot here, Indian. You can kind of have a little bit of a space. That's fine. Open until 10 p.m. Restaurant description. Then you have the item here. So the next thing that we need to do, there's a couple of things that we need to do. We come in here. You want to do this screen. And we also need to do this screen. So we did this thing. We need to do this screen and this screen, okay? So let's go ahead and create this screen first, and then we're gonna do this screen after that. So this is a simple screen, kind of a restaurant information type screen, and we can have it pop up maybe from the bottom, have a different effect. So let's do that real quick. Come back here. Let's add a new screen. This is restaurant info, and do we want to create a blank page? Yeah, we probably do want to. Let's see if there's a map somewhere. No, probably want to just create a blank. Most of the time we're just going to do a blank page, restaurant info, create page, and this is going to be nothing. Well, yeah, something, restaurant info. We have the column here, and now let's put some stuff in there. We can put a map. What kind of map do we want to put? We have the Google map. We have the static map. Let's try the static map. So we need an API key. I have the API key. So we're going to do that. Let's remove the width. We can even do expansion on the row. Okay, it looks really good. So now it's centered. We can do that like this. Perfect. Now it's 100%, 300%. Okay, looks good. Let's continue with the other things that we need to do. So name, type, couple of other address, open until, and the rating. So a lot of the same information, but let's do that anyway. So we have this column, we have the row. Let's duplicate this row. Let's remove the map and let's duplicate. Let's create a site and let's duplicate this. Duplicate. Let's give it a little bit of a padding on the bottom. All right. So now what is this going to say? This is going to be, well, we're doing this. We're going to, yeah, well, we have a lot of this. So let's do name and then category, right? We're going to have, so yeah, we need the parameter, right? We won't know which restaurant there is. Let's do a parameter. So this is restaurant. This is document reference, restaurant, it's confirm, and now we can unpack it. Query document from reference, restaurant, restaurant ref, confirm, confirm. Here's going to be the map with the location of the restaurant where we can specify it. And here might be the name of the restaurant, right? So something like name, and we can do a little bit bigger, and we can put the address, restaurant address. We can put a open until combined text, open until restaurant document and close. And then we want to format it, right? Datetime format, something like this. And then here, best overall, we're not really doing that. There's some, yeah. And then we have this thing here. So we can just copy it, copy variable, restaurant info, come in here. Variable, paste variable, get average rating. We don't have any reviews, so we need the reviews. Let's do a backend query, query collection, reviews, value source from restaurant ref, list of documents, and now we can paste it, get average rating, reviews, map list items, ratings, confirm. No further changes, confirm. Looks good to me. Num list items, the same thing. Reviews, num list items. Okay, so now we have this in here. And that's about it, right? So yeah, looks good. The only thing we need is a map, right? So we're going to go to mapbox.com, get an API key. Here we are on mapbox.com. All right, we're signed in and we have this token here. You can create a new token for yourself. We're going to paste it in here. And now we have the token. And now we need to specify the location of the restaurant in a lat long, right? So if you come in here, restaurant document, we don't have a lat long, right? We don't have these fields, right? We don't have these specific fields on the document, okay? So we need to do that. And I'm going to do that right now. So here's a sample lat long in Manhattan. Paste that in there. All right, so there's a sample lat long, and obviously you can zoom out. You can kind of see it. You can see New York in there. Okay, so that's actually Long Island, but you guys get the picture. So that's lat long right there. And we can store these, right? We can store them in our database, right? So if we go to this restaurant, I think Little India right here, you can add a lat long in here, right? There's a geo point here, and you can store it location, right? And you can do lat long, latitude, and we can also add it to our schema. Restaurants, let's do location here, lat long. So now we have location in there, and now we can do that. We can just pick location, okay? And now it has the location that's in the system. So let's go ahead and refresh this, instant reload. All right, so click on Little India. We have this. We don't have a link. We don't have a link to kind of get more information, but the idea is if you click on this, you're going to open up that page. So let's do that real quick. Come back here, restaurant detail, and let's say you click on name, and we're going to do an action, navigation to restaurant info, and let's do a transition, slide up, let pass reference, confirm. See how that works? All right. Okay, there it is. And that opens up and we have some information about it. We can also have something like close because it's kind of like a pop-up dialog box, and that's going to close and go back. So let's do that. Have a little bit of a button, duplicate this, come in here, and let's, instead of a text, I'm going to do a button. We're going to do a little bit of padding, and I'm going to say, make it a little bit bigger, make the button a little bit wider. Do that with, let's see, height, yeah, something like, I don't know. I am really bad at design. You guys have probably noticed that by now. Okay, so something like this, and that's going to do a navigation, navigate back. Okay, perfect. Functions, since we haven't changed them since last time, there should be no issues, no errors. Go back. All right, Little India. Click on Little India, and we have this thing. We go back. It's really nice. It's nice how it does it. Like, we need a little bit of padding here, but you guys get the picture. Let's go back to our detail view. Let's take info view, and let's take a look. You can have a marker from a URL as well. Color for the marker. There we have it. Now we're going to have a marker that's going to be displayed. Let's see how that looks. All right, so here's the app. Let's click on our restaurant. Click here, and we have a nice marker here. Okay, very cool effect, and it kind of shows where the restaurant is. We can adjust the zoom level and all that. We can go back, and now we're back here, and we're back on the main screen. All right, so we have this page. Now we need to have this menu item detail page, and then we can talk about the cart and the checkout. So let's quickly do this menu item detail. And then there's going to be some interesting logic with the add to cart. So let's do that real quick. Come in here. So this is a restaurant detail. It's kind of similar. We can probably reuse it. I think we can reuse it, in fact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to rename it to menu item. Okay, so this is going to be item details or detail. And then we're going to have the same thing. So all of this information is going to be about this menu item. All right, so here we need to change this document reference is going to be now menu item. This is going to be menu item ref, confirm, and then we do our unpacking here from this menu item, not restaurants, menu item. There we go. And now we have all of that information. So I don't think we have an image, unfortunately. For the menu item, we don't have an image. So we just have name and price. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it for now. And I'm just going to set the variables that we have. So name and price. So we don't have ratings, obviously. That would be a good feature, I think. I'm going to remove this, and we're going to replace it with price. Price. And we don't need this. We don't need this. And that's about it. Like, they have some extra stuff. I'm just going to skip that for now. Name, price, and then description. I don't think we have a description, do we? No, we don't have a description. Let's do special instructions. That's going to go into the order, and then the button, just to show you how we can use this functionality, okay? So let's go ahead and do special instructions. Description. This is going to be item description for later, maybe. And let's delete this list. And let's do a special instruction. This is going to be text field. Let's do max lines 3, min lines 3. Let's have it something like this, and we can put okay. And then we don't need this. We don't need this. Yeah, let's give it a special instructions and then a button. So I'm gonna add a row, column, and I'm gonna add a okay, and button is going to say, well, it's going to display a bunch of things, right? We can display a lot of things. We're going to center this row. Let's center this row right here. Let's make this button a little bit bigger. The width, let's make it 200. And let's make the text a little. We have special instructions. We can also wrap special instructions in a container, and then we can magic on the container. Like a border radius, we can also do a little bit of nice padding, and then we can also maybe do looks good to me, fill color, can even do a little bit of a fill color, maybe something like this. And then there's this underline. It looks good to me, something clean. And obviously we can have rounded corners, this container. Okay, so something like this. All right, so this button, what it's going to do is it's going to say add one to cart, and it's going to list the price because there's just one item, right? We're looking at one item. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say text combine text, 1, 2, what is it? Add one to cart dash price. And then the price here. And this price is going to be formatted as a price, displays currency. Okay, so something like this, add one to cart, there's the price. Now, when it adds it to cart, nothing happens. It doesn't redirect to cart, that's the flow. The cart is accessed using this link here. Okay, let's take a look at this. We have this redirection. We need to remove this redirection. Remove that because it's not navigating. What else we have? Something is set incorrectly. Is this okay? Is the reviews? Oh, we don't need any background query. Okay, so now we're good to go. We have the price, name, item description, special instructions, and now this thing here, it's going to have a very, very important responsibility. It needs to add this whole thing, and it needs to store this thing as part of the cart. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, it depends how we're going to be displaying it. This is the cart. And as you can see, we need to store the whole menu item. We need to store the quantity. By default, it's 1. And also, we need to store the special instructions, okay? Now, FlutterFlow recently introduced a really nice feature called data types, right? So we can come here, we can create a new data type for our cart, right? So we can come in here and we can say cart item type. This is going to be our data type for items in the cart. And what exactly is a data type? Data type is basically a combination of different simple types. So I'm going to add a field and we need a menu item. This is going to be our item, menu item ref. And this is going to be a document reference to our menu item, okay? And another thing we need to store the special instructions, so which is a string for each item, right? This is not on an order basis. This is per each item, right? Maybe you don't want something spicy, maybe you do. So we have the menu, we have the special instructions. What else do we need? We need the quantity, right? We need the quantity in case the user decides to change it. So by default, it's 1. We're going to have, so we have the menu, we have the quantity, and we have special instructions, okay? Custom functions, we'll fix that later. And now this thing creates a new item in our cart. And how are we going to store the cart? Well, cart is going to be stored as an app variable, right? This app state variable. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say cart. And for the type, this is going to be a data type, and we're going to pick this cart item type, and this is a list of these data types. Okay, create. And now you can actually add an item, right? So if you click here, you have these 3 things that we're going to be storing for each item, right? So that's kind of what we have. Now, if you go back here, go back to the app, we can add an action, and this action is going to be updating app state. So it's going to update this thing. And what are we going to do? Well, we're going to add to list, right? We're going to be adding to list. And what are we going to be adding to list? Well, we're going to be creating a new data type, cart item type, that's going to be added to list because it's an array of these complex types, right? So let's set the value. So menu item ref is the menu item that we're on right now, reference. Next is we have the quantity. Quantity is going to be 1 by default. Next, we have the special instructions, and that's going to be this widget state. And now we've just created the special data type, and we're going to be adding it here. So every time you click this, you add one to cart, you're going to have this special, we're going to create the special data type, and we're going to add it to cart. And once we create this cart page, you're gonna see if we are saving it correctly because we'll need to display it. And so I propose that we also create this cart right here so that we see if the items are being saved correctly or not. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new page. I'm gonna come in here, create a new page, and we have this cart. Yeah, actually we might. Let's go to e-commerce. We might find something. So maybe something like this. Something like this. It doesn't need to be exactly that. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is fine. and we're gonna say cart. Okay, so now we have a cart below the items in your cart. It looks good. Looks good. And now here we can display we're gonna load this list view up with the data from our cart, from our app state. We're gonna click here, app state, cart, confirm, and variable name, we're gonna give it cart item. And now we can specify, okay, what is this cart item? This cart item, we're gonna go data structure field. And while we need to first unpack things, right? Because remember, it's a reference. On the container level, what we're gonna do is we're gonna unpack our menu items. Document from reference, menu items. We're gonna go to cart item, or data structure field, menu item ref, confirm, and now we have access to all those items. Click here. This is menu item document, name, price. Here, menu item document, price, quantity. Let's do text combine, quantity, add text, and menu item document. It's not. It's a separate item, right? It's a cart item, in fact. Data structure field, and the image. We don't have any images. Just going to leave it at that. You can edit, you can delete. So let's first see if it works. Let's first see if it's adding it correctly. And then we are going to add some of more interesting functions. All right, here's our app. Let's pick this restaurant here. Let's go to items. So we need to click on an item to go to the details yet. Okay, so let's link it. First of all, let's go to restaurant detail. Let's say they click on list view up and they click on this cart. We need to do a navigation to menu item detail, and we need to pass the menu item ref. Go ahead and reload that. If we click on this, we're here, okay? And you can say like, I don't like spicy. And now we can do that, and hopefully that added. And let's go ahead and connect our cart, right? We're gonna connect it, we're gonna show navbar, and this thing is gonna have a cart. Okay, now we have this cart over here. So now, reload this, all right? We're here. And this cart is empty. We need to display that it's empty. Obviously, nothing is showing up here. We're going to do that. But let's see if it works. Let's see if it adds it. Come in here, add. We added it. We should display something on it. And we need to format this correctly. Go back. And now we're seeing it here. So it's adding it correctly. And all the data is here. And even special instructions are there. We can display it at the bottom if we want. Although I don't think... Yeah, maybe it's being displayed... Yeah, maybe it's being displayed on cart. Could be being, because I don't really select, I didn't enter anything here. And so maybe it is being displayed. Let's display it in small font. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. And we're overflowing, but that's fine. Problem, container, a little bit bigger. Okay, perfect. So this thing here, it should not be a text combination. It should be, we'll just make it special instruction. Come in here, data structure field, special. So now we'll make it small. Now let's reload this. Okay, if we go in here, there's nothing here. Come here, click here, add to cart, and there it is, right? Special instructions, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, that's fine. Oh, I didn't enter anything in the special instructions. Let's try that again. And entering something this time. Okay, come here, pick this. Please don't make my bread spicy. Enter it. We need to display something. Go back here, and there it is, right? You see that over there. So it's being saved. Here, there's no editing, right? You can delete it, but there's really no purpose to edit it, right? Quantity 1. Let's go ahead and fix that. Cart. Let's remove this, and let's keep that. So this thing is very easy. This is going to do app state, and we are going to app state, work with that. And what we want to do is remove from list at index, right? And the index, it knows the index, right? It knows the index because basically it's working through it, right? So if we come in here, index in list, right? We always have the indexes, and if you do that, it's going to rebuild the current page automatically. So let's try that out real quick. All right, come here, no spicy, add it. Okay, it's there and it's gone. Okay, so everything works. Now there's still a couple of things that we need to do. We need to make sure the sum is correct. We wouldn't worry about taxes for now. That's very simple, but we need to make sure sum is correct. So I'm going to remove taxes and just going to remove this. I meant to remove this. And this thing is, I'm going to remove that. Just going to keep it simple. Now, how do you compute the sum? Well, you can't compute it while the app is running, meaning you can't compute it on the fly. You need to do it when people are adding to the cart and when people are removing from the cart, right? So for that, we need to create a new state variable called cart sum, and this is going to be a double. And this variable is going to keep track as you are adding and removing. So for instance, if you come here and you have this menu item detail and you click on this, actually, let's make this bigger. I really want to make this bigger. Let's make this bigger. Not that big, maybe something like this. Make the text bigger. Yeah, something like this, okay? So if you click here, when we are adding this, we also need to update the variable, okay? So we're going to go back to app state, update app state, cart sum. And in fact, I think we can do it in one fly. In one fly, we can add the item and update the variable. And so we're going to increment this variable by whatever we added, right? So if we come in here, this menu item document, we added the price, we're going to increment this variable, okay? And so this is going to automatically keep track of the sum. And that way, when we go to the cart, we can display it. We're going to say app state, cart sum, and we want to format it using custom formatting. We want to do display as current. And we want to do the same thing when they remove it. So I'm going to do cart sum, and I want to increment, decrement. And I want to increment, but I need to take the negative. Okay, so I need to do a code expression. And I need to pass a parameter. My parameter is an integer. And the value of this parameter is this cart item. Not the... Is it data structure? No. Gonna be menu item document price. And what we need to do is we need to multiply this var1 that we're passing by -1. Check for errors, should be no errors. And that way it's negative. That way we can decrement it. Confirm. And now it's not. So let's see if that works. No errors. I'll reload this. Okay. Let's click on this, add, come back out, come here, and it's here, right? It's 5. The total is 5. We do this, it's gone. It removes it automatically. So that works perfect. We can also display empty cart later. That's very, very simple. And we need to make sure this checkout is set correctly. Let's have this thing do a combine text. Let's do checkout space, open parentheses, app state, cart sum. Let's format it as place currency. That looks pretty good. Now it's a little tall. That looks pretty good. Now the text has a lot of padding. We don't need that much padding. We can make it bigger. Okay, so something like this. And now this is connected. This is going to be all the same. Okay, so this cart works. The next thing we need to do, and this is the last thing we need to do in this section, and that is do a checkout. Okay, so this is where they can specify their credit card and do a checkout. So let's do that right now. Let's do I think e-commerce, be a credit card form somewhere. Oh, yeah. Continue to checkout. There's no checkout settings. There is a checkout. It's continue to check. Okay, so we can do it ourselves. We can do it ourselves, something simple. And, we can have a, account here. And we can just display a credit card, some kind of a credit card form or Apple Pay or whatever you take, right? So, and then we can have another button, row, so a little bit bigger, 70 to font size bigger. Okay, so something like this. Let's also pad this. Okay, so something like this, a little wide. Okay, a little, it's too high. Okay. The height was bigger, was not proportionally looking. So check out. And that's it. So this thing here is going to create a new order, right? So if we go back to our delivery, we have users, and each user they're going to have an order, right? So if we go back to our schema, in fact, orders, and order has a restaurant reference, timestamp, and status, okay? Restaurant timestamp and status. We can also store the menu items if we wanted to, if we decide to do that, but let's just store it, restaurant reference, timestamp, and status, just to keep it simple. And this thing is going to create a new document. new Firestore document, collection is, and we need a user reference. This is authenticated user, which is me. And let's add the fields, restaurant reference. Well, we need the restaurant reference. We don't have the restaurant reference, so we need to get it somewhere. We can store the menu item reference, and from that we can get the restaurant reference. So that's one way of doing it. Let's do timestamp. We can do current time, and one more, status. So status is new order, okay? And let's do a restaurant reference. In fact, I don't want to do, maybe I want to do menu item. There's going to be many menu items. And so in fact, yeah, let's just do restaurant reference just to keep it very, very simple. But for us to do that, we need to pass the menu item, and then from the menu item, get the restaurant reference. This cart has all of these things, right? This cart has it. So in fact, we can just get it from the cart. In fact, this is really easy. We can just go in here, checkout, restaurant reference. We can get it from the cart. App state, item at index, doesn't really matter. It's all from the same restaurant first. And now we have the menu item reference, and we cannot get the restaurant reference from that. We have the menu item reference, but what we need to get is we need to get the restaurant reference from there. So I thought about this and I decided, wouldn't it be just better to store the whole order, right? So in fact, we can come in here and we can just store the whole order, right? So this order here, we can just say, instead of restaurant reference, we can just store the whole order, right? So this could be order items, or items, something like this. This could be a data type, and a data type here, and then we can specify this is cart item type, a list, and this is going to be the list of those items that were in the cart, right? So now you can go to items, and then you can say set value from the cart, bingo, and now you have all of those items for next time, like they're stored that you ordered, and you can get any data that you want from that. So let's do that. All right, so we have checkout, and once you check out, we're going to redirect to the front page. We're going to save everything, and we're going to do navigation. Yep, that's fine. Okay, and now we're going to redirect. So one thing I wanted to do is menu item detail. When they add to cart, I want to add a snack bar. And I want to say item added, and I don't want this background color. I want it to be blue, right? Something maybe like this. And then text color is primary text. That's fine. Okay, and maybe 2 seconds. Okay, so now let's go ahead and reload this. All right, there's the app. Come in here. We want this thing. Add item added to cart. Maybe make it a little bit darker. Go back here. Card, and there it is, right? We have the bread, not a shoe, checkout, and we need to link checkout, add an action. This is going to be, we can just, and that's it. Now on the checkout, you were just using the cart stuff, right? We're just using the cart information when they check out. So we're not passing any parameters. We can say, order. How about order? Place like this. Okay, and so this thing redirects to checkout. They can place their order, and then let's see if the order is actually placed in the database. Please don't make it to added. There's the item displayed. We're done. We go to our cart. There's the thing, checkout, place order. Okay, and it redirected to our front page, our home page. And now let's reload our data and see if we have these items. Okay, and there's the order. There's the order, and there's the items. Look at this. We have the item with the menu item. Everything is there. Status is new. Timestamp. This is the timestamp. Beautiful. And now there's, status. We know all the items. We can send the user a receipt because we have the we have an array of all the items. This is much better than storing just the restaurant. And from this, we have this restaurant ID. We can get that as well. So it's all really, really nice. Later on, we can also, we can send the user information, things like that. And now the order is new. And now, the system is gonna set it to provisioning, processing, accept it, etc., etc. All right, so looking back at the pages that we have to do, we pretty much did everything, but there's one page that we haven't done yet, and that is the profile page, okay? And that is that page where you go to, you look up, your details, maybe you can modify your email, change your phone number, and also I want to create that page, and on that page, I want to create another page with a list of orders. So these are going to be your past orders, these are going to be your current orders, things like that. So it's going to be very, very easy to look at your personal details and also take a look at the orders that you've placed before, and especially the order that's happening right now, because we want to do real-time order tracking there. So let's go ahead and create a page like this right now. All right, so here we are back in the app, and what I want to do is I want to create a new page. And fortunately, there's already a page that gives us information. That is this settings page. If we go into settings, there's some good templates that we can use. And so let's take a look. Which one of these catches our eye here, catches our attention. All right, so let's do something simple. I'm just going to start, maybe with this one right here. So I'm going to say use my template, and I'm going to call it profile, okay? I'm going to create a simple profile page. And the first thing we want to do is, well, I want this page to be on the nav bar on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show nav bar on this page. And this is good. This person is good. So we're going to have that here. Let's change the data that's being displayed. Change the name to authenticated user display name. Change the email to authenticated user email. And now we have changed password. We have a bunch of other things. And what I want to do is I want to create, I want to duplicate one of these things here, this container, in fact, and I want to do a link to the orders page that you can see from this profile page. I think that's how it is in the main app. And we're going to duplicate that, and then we're going to say, or I don't know, view orders or something like this. So we have this link here. Now let's go ahead and create a quick order page. And what's nice about it, remember, we are saving that order information on the user themselves, right? So we have, all the order, we have the complete array of the orders, right? So if we go back to Firebase and we go, let's say, to here, we have users. And we have these orders, and in each order, right, on each of the documents in the orders collection, we have items. And this is an array of the dishes, the menu items that we ordered for that order. So we can list the orders, and we can also list the actual list of menu items for each order. That is really cool. And obviously we have the status, we have the timestamp that the order was placed, and things like that. So it makes it really easy to get the data and display it. All right, so let's go ahead and create another page. This is going to be our orders page, and this is going to be a list. Let's take a look at some good lists that we can kind of use. I guess any of these are fine. What about this one right here? This one, maybe. Let's use this one. I don't think it really matters, and we can just say orders. Okay, so now we have the list of orders. I'm just going to say orders here, and your orders, okay, something like this. We don't need this. And this right here is going to pull up our orders, the person's orders, right? So we have this list view here. And what we want to do is we want to do a backend query. We want to just list the orders. And then inside the order, we can also get some information about the specific dishes from the order array. Okay, so we're going to do a query collection. We are going to do a orders here, right? So it's orders under users, okay? And then we're going to say from variable, and this is our authenticated user reference, right? Because I want to see my orders. We're going to come here. Okay, so now we have the orders collection, and then we can display the top level elements for that order. And these are going to be, right, we can't display this because we need to get in there first. This is an array. This items is an array, right? This items, but we can display the status and the timestamp, okay? So let's display, let's go ahead and display. In fact, we could probably display, let's say, the first item. Fact, right? That's going to be fine. And we can also display the status, right? Here is going to be the status, order document status, and the timestamp. We can, I guess, display maybe below it. Let's display it here first and see if it shows up properly. Let's format this time. We're gonna do a full format. In fact, we don't need the time. Yeah, I guess we can just do date. Day of the week, month, and the day. We can do that. And then the title, we'll change that around. All right. So we have the orders. Let's go ahead and test it out. Let's see if everything works. Because, we just created 2 pages and we want to make sure everything works. I like to keep testing fairly frequently just to make sure that things work the way that we expect them to work. All right. So let's wait for this to load. All right. So here's our app. If we scroll down, we have the profile page. If we click on that, we don't have the picture. We haven't modified the picture, but we have the email, but I also don't have the display name. So if I come back here, I go into users, I go into my user and I add display name. I think it's display_name. If I'm not mistaken, let's go into the schema, display_name. Okay. And I can say James. Now it should automatically display it right here. And I'm going to change the email, the image as well. And so now we have the data. Everything is fine. Logout should work as well, but we don't want to log out. The view orders does not work. So let's go ahead and link view orders real quick. We're going to go to the profile page and we're going to link, we can link this whole container, right? Makes it easier to click, navigate to, and orders. Default is fine. Yeah. All right. We have our beautiful app. View orders. All right. So this is what we have. So as you can see, it says new order. And this is the date because this is the time I placed the order. So if we go in here, I go into orders. As you can see, this order was placed on June 1st. And that is why, this is what is being displayed. So everything is fine. We have one order. The only thing that we might want to do is we might want to show maybe the number of items or, some kind of information about the order. I don't know if you want to display everything because you can have many, many items. You can if you want. And we also want to delete this thing. We don't really need that because that is the detail. So we're going to go back to orders, come back here. Let's delete this. And in fact, yeah, so for the title, maybe we want to display number of items. We can just come in here, orders document, and we have items, right? So for items, we can't display items because it's an array, but we can do number of items, right? We can just do number of items like this, and it's going to display, how many items, right? So we're going to do a combine, we can also do combine and add text, and then we can come in here, orders, items is an array. So we have number of items, and so it's going to be the other way around, 5. So something like this, if we refresh that, yeah, it should say 5 items, or I think it's going to say 1 item because we just have 1 item in there. And let's see that. Okay, 1 item. So maybe we need to take into account plural or singular number of items. So items. That's kind of what we have. So how does it look? New. Let's do status. Let's do a text combine. Let's do status, add text, and then orders status. Okay, so status is going to display status, and this is the date. Okay, and you can kind of change that around. Now, you can take this further. You can also display the image, right? So you can click here, and you can scroll down, and you can do an image, right? How are you going to do that? Well, you have items, right? So you can click on items. You can get items at index. You can get the first item, and then you can get the menu ref. And assuming that, you can unpack that variable, you can display the image. Well, we're not storing images here, but you have all of this information, right? You can unpack it, right? So essentially what you can do is you can go on this level, on this menu item level, and you can come in here and you can unpack it. So you can do a document from reference, and then you can do menu items. And then you can come in here, orders, items, item at index. You can just say, let's say first item. You can select menu ref. Okay, and now you've unpacked that first item. You have to decide which item you want to unpack, and that's fine. You can just display the first item. And now you have the image, right? So now you can come back here and you have that item, right? And for that, you can get the image. So we have menu item, and if you had image here, you can just pick image and you would just be able to display the image. But the data that we have is coming here. Let's go to restaurants, menu items. We have name and price. So, We can display any of them if you want, right? We can display that here, but I think image of like the first item would be the best case scenario, in fact. And so you can, in fact, let's do that right now, just for this example, right? So let's add a field image, all right? So I'm gonna paste an image URL, and I'm gonna add that image to our schema, menu items image. I'm gonna do an image path, and then if I go back to the app, the UI, and I come in here, I can now, okay, so now if you reload it, we should have a beautiful picture of the bread. And I think that's the right approach, because you don't want to list all the items. You just want to, maybe you want to list them in one line, you know, not like one after the other. But I think displaying the image from one of the orders is perfect view. Okay, and now we have the image, which is the image of the first and only item in this case. So that looks good. One item status is new. This is the order. Maybe put the order at the bottom. It's really, really up to you. These are cosmetic things. But now you're seeing the orders. You are seeing what's happening, and the user can follow the status here, because the status is going to be changed on the other side, right? So you have the people ordering, right? The customers, and then you have the restaurants. So the status is going to be changed by the restaurant, and it's also going to be changed by the courier who is delivering it, right? So once the restaurant starts preparing it, they're essentially going to have their own app. And what the app is gonna do is the app is gonna go to your order, right? So let's go back to users. Let's go to your order, and the app essentially is gonna change this status, right? So it's gonna say preparing. Okay, we update it. The moment you update it, you're gonna see this preparing. The customer's app is gonna see preparing, and then from the moment it's handed off to the courier, the delivery person, right, gonna say, being delivered, right? So the other app, right? You're gonna have two apps. This thing is gonna say delivering, right? And so the person is gonna come back here, and they're gonna see delivering, okay? And so now we are done with the customer facing part. We're done with everything that the customer needs to do, because from this point on, the customer just needs to wait for their order to be delivered. From the moment that they order, it's all in the hands of the other party, the restaurant, the courier, the delivery person, etc., etc. And their app is going to be modifying these variables, okay, whatever app they're using, maybe it's another system. And so the only thing that we need to do right now, and I really wanted to do this, is real-time order tracking, where the order is being moved from the restaurant to the customer, and they can see this on the map. And so that is what we're going to be doing right now. All right, so the app is starting to come together, but there's one last thing that I wanted to do, and that is to show a real-time order tracking, okay? Right now, the app is good, but I think that is going to be really kind of the icing on the cake. Okay, so we have this orders page right here, and what I'm thinking of is they can click on this, and it's going to go to another page, and on that page they're going to see a map. They're going to see, the courier moving from the restaurant to their destination. They're going to see maybe how much time is left, how much distance is left, things like that. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we're going to create a new page, and we're just going to start with a blank page. Okay, we're just going to call it order tracking. Create page, and this is the page right here. Just rename it to order tracking. And the first thing about this page is that we want this page to know the order ID. Okay, so that's the first thing. We're gonna come here, create a page parameter, and we're gonna say order reference. It's gonna be a document reference. It's required, and it is orders. Confirm. And then the first thing we want to do is we want to unpack that reference and get a document from, right? So we're going to do orders, and we're going to unpack this page parameter. Okay, and so now we have the information about the order. And so this allows us to get, things like order status, the time of the order, as well as the items that the person ordered. And so that is all great and useful, right? We can display this on this page. The main issue here is how do we show the person, the courier moving on the map. So FlutterFlow has, some map objects. We can search for map, and there's Google Maps, static map. And the way these work is that you can provide your key, and they all work the same way, is that they show you static points, right? You can't really have dynamic things on this map, right? These built-in widgets don't give you the ability to, create your own, directions or your own navigation or anything like that. They don't allow you to do that. So while this worked in situations where, we needed to display the restaurant, where it's on the map, put a marker there, things like that, and you can put multiple markers if you want. Unfortunately, these widgets are not good enough if you want to show some kind of navigation information, so something moving, stuff like that. And so we need to look further. And so one place that you can go in order to find these custom widgets, right? Remember, everything in FlutterFlow is a widget, and you can build your own widgets, and there are other people that have built widgets and shared with the rest of the world. So if you go to pub.dev, you can search for lots of interesting widgets. So you can search for like maps. You can also type Google Maps. So you can type Google Maps and see if there's anything interesting. And when I was searching, I actually found a very, very useful widget that's going to be perfect for what we're trying to do. This is called Google Maps widget. And if you open it up, you can kind of read more about it, but you don't even need to read anything. You can just look at the screenshots and you can see this is exactly what you want, right? There's even like a picture of a restaurant. There's a picture of this final point. This is the source name, and there's even like a little thing moving around, right? So this is exactly what you want. They give you some instructions. Now, let's say you're browsing this package here and you want to try out, you want to see how it works before you start putting in some of the extra logic, such as connecting it to an order, etc., etc. You just want to make sure that it works, right? That it displays the map. Well, if you scroll down, they have a bunch of examples here. So here's an example, sample usage. And all you really need is this part here. Everything beyond it is like these optional parameters that you need, but you don't need just to test it out. So the way you set it up is you go back to your app. You go to custom code, and we're going to add a widget here, okay? And the next thing that you want to do is you want to click here, and you're going to see this boilerplate widget code. You're going to copy this to editor, and you're going to see this thing right here. Now, this is the part that actually draws this widget on the screen and provides the logic, etc., etc. Now, fortunately, I already have the code that we need. So I'm going to copy this, copy it here. The only thing that we need to do is change the name. I'm using Gmap, so we need to make sure that it's correct here. It's Gmap here. And another thing that you need to make sure is that you need to specify an API key. This is my valid active API key. This is Google Maps API key. And if you go back to this page here and you scroll up a little bit, you're going to see getting started. So they give you like really nice instructions how you can get your API key. It's very, very simple, just a bunch of clicks. And it's not going to cost you anything unless your app becomes super popular, like everybody's using it. But until then, it's not going to cost you anything. Okay, so you need to follow instructions. You're going to get your API key. You're going to paste it in here. The next thing that you need to do is you need to go back to this page, and you need to click here, and that's going to give you the link to a dependency. And why do we need to do that? Well, this code here is just a code that uses third-party code, which is this code right here that you need in order for this to work. This is just the gateway to it. This is just the interface. And when you add a dependency here, we're going to paste whatever we copied here when you clicked. You're essentially telling FlutterFlow and Flutter that, listen, I have this code, but it relies on this widget here. So make sure you compile it as well. Make sure you check it out, because if you don't have this, it's not going to work, right? Next, you're going to click Save. You might get this message, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. You're going to say yes, and now you need to compile your code. You're going to click Compile, and you're going to wait for it to compile. It's the same story with custom functions. You need to make sure that you compile these first so that it validates that everything is fine. Fortunately, this is relatively, a short piece of code. This is a relatively short custom widget. So it's not going to take a long time. All right, so it's done. There are no errors. Everything is good to go. And that means we can go back to our app. We can go to this order tracking screen, and we can go to our the top level here, add a widget. And instead of adding these built-in widgets, we can now add a custom widget, which is the widget that we just created. We're going to click here, and this thing appears, right? You can also give it a width. Let's give it 350, and you can give it a height. Now, there's one problem. There's one big problem. As you can see, there's a message. Target platform.macOS is not yet supported by the Maps plugin. And what this message means is that, remember, Flutter, and well, FlutterFlow by extension, it builds apps for all platforms. So for desktop, for web, for iOS, for Android. And some widgets, they run on all platforms, right? Some widgets do not. As it happens to be this widget here that we are using to display the maps, it only works on mobile. So if you go back to this package here, as you can see, it says platform Android, iOS. And that is because the person who wrote it decided to support these two platforms. And what this means is that you can't run this app. You can't view this widget on my laptop here. This is a Mac laptop. But also if you run it, you won't be able to interact with it, because when you run it, it's like just like, it's like a desktop or a web. It's not mobile, right? You can't test apps and to see how they're going to behave on the mobile, because when FlutterFlow runs it, when it launches the app, it's basically either desktop or web. So it's not going to work in any case. And so in this case, what you need to do, and this is something that you need to do anyway, right? If you're serious about building apps, you want to build a real iOS app or a mobile app or any kind of app, you need to download the code. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here, and we're going to download the code, because, under the hood, this is all Flutter code. It's just we didn't have to write it from scratch. We are just, we're using a UI, but it generates Flutter code. So we've just downloaded the app here. And once you downloaded the app, you can just unzip it, and that's going to create a directory. And now you have just your good old Flutter app. And what you guys need to do now is you need to, check out the code, and you need to run it in a simulator, right? You can run it on your own device if you want, but it's a lot easier to run it in a simulator. Now, I personally use Visual Studio Code. It's absolutely free. It is what, most people use, I guess, is the most popular one. And this is what I recommend. It's absolutely free. And so you can just click on it. Once you install it, you're going to go to File, Open Folder, and you're going to find your Flutter app. This is this app right here. We're going to open it up. And now it's going to tell us, do you want to do something? It's going to give you a message. You want to say yes, and it's going to create your app for you. And so now what you have is an app. And what's nice about this app is that you can now run it in different environments. So I can run it on Chrome. I can enable Mac OS. So I can run it as a desktop app. I can also run it in an iOS simulator. I also have a Pixel emulator. So what we're going to do is we're going to start our Pixel 6 Pro emulator here, which I have running right here. This is a real emulator. These emulators, whether it's iOS or Android, they're real, right? If your app runs on one of them, it's going to run on a real device, right? So we're going to go find main, which is this entry file here, main.dart. Once we have this selected here, you're going to go to run without debugging or start debugging. Doesn't really matter. I do run without debugging. I want to make sure this is selected here. We're going to click here. And we're going to wait for it to run, and it's going to run it on this device. So it's going to be like a real app, how your end users are going to see it, to make sure that everything works fine. We're going to wait until it finishes setting it up and launching the app. All right, so here's our app. As you can see, it's displaying perfectly, and we can search for different restaurants. We can search for Indian. We see Indian. We can type something else, Spain. We see Spain, little Spain over there. Or we can clear it, and we can just see all of them. So we can click here, and then we can go to view orders, and then we can click on any one of these orders. So let's say we click on this one, and guess what we see? We see a map. We see a map with 2 points, and this, I believe, is in Spain somewhere. I think this is Madrid, as it happens to be, just sample points. And we see we see directions from those 2 points. And that is because we created this custom widget with these source lat long and destination lat long. So this is, 1 point. This is, one of these points is the source and one is the destination. So as you can see, this works perfectly. Of course, we need to center it. We need a back button. We need all that. But at least we are seeing the map. At least, this is actually working fine. And so now we need to fix it up a little bit, maybe add a back button. But the most important thing that we need to do is we need to connect our order information, the stuff that we have, the location of the restaurant, the destination, all that. We need to connect it to the map so that everything kind of connects together. And that is what we're going to be doing right now. And so with the help of ChatGPT, as well as some of my own research, I came up with a code for a custom widget that takes into account some of the information that we're going to be passing into this custom widget so that we have all the right points in the order, right? Because if you think about it, what we really want to do is we want to specify, let's say, a restaurant here and a user here, and we wanted to, we want this thing to move when we're feeding it data. So if the courier is moving about and they're getting points sent to them, they're getting, that their phone is sending coordinates, we want, these things to show up on the map, because that's exactly how, navigation, how these apps should work, this real-time order tracking, order navigation. And so what I did was I have a source point that's located around here, somewhere in Lower Manhattan. And I also have a destination that's somewhere on the Upper West Side, somewhere around here. And I also gave it 3 intermediate points that simulate a courier sending those points that are going to be sent using the app. So let's go and set this up. We're going to go back to our app. We're going to add a new custom widget, this other one, and we're going to paste this custom widget that I have here that I created. And the only thing we need to do is we need to make sure the names match up. It's called Gmap widget 2 right here. And that's about it. Now this widget takes various parameters, unlike the previous widget, right? So we're going to be passing the document reference, which is the orders doc ref, because we need it in order to access the document. And we're going to say this is a document reference, orders. It's not nullable. And then we're going to have another parameter. This is going to be orders doc, which is the actual document from the orders collection. I'm going to say this is document and orders right here. So as you can see, these need to match up. Orders doc ref, orders doc. These match up. And we also need to make sure we have we copied this to clipboard here. Okay, so we're going to come here and we need to make sure that we also have this dependency here. Okay, now we're going to hit save. We want to make sure that everything adds up, everything connects. And the thing about this custom widget is that it takes into account that our order record has various extra fields. So if we come in here to our orders, I added these fields. So we have things like source, which is lat long. We have destination, which is lat long. And we have driver positions, which is list of lat long. Now, when you specify the data in your order, right, when you specify where the restaurant is and where, the user is, etc., it's going to work fine. So let's go ahead and compile this correctly. All right, let's wait for this to compile. It's going to take a little bit longer because there's more code here. And as you can see, we're still using that source lat and destination lang, except this time we're taking it from this orders doc that we're going to be passing into this custom widget from the outside. All right, and it compiled with no errors. So everything seems good. Let's go ahead and include it and pass the right stuff. So we're going to go back to order tracking. We're going to delete this custom widget and we're going to add this new one, this Gmap 2. We're going to give it going to make it a little bit bigger, something like this. And now we need to pass the order doc ref and the orders doc. So the first is going to be the reference. You can come here, reference. And then we're going to pass the orders document. And we have that. We have that information because we're passing it to this page via a parameter, right? And then we're looking it up. So we have this data here. And that's about it. Now we just need to download the code and test it out on our simulator, because this is not going to run on the web or the desktop. All right. So we got the app. Open it up right here. There it is. open the folder, open the directory of our app. This is right here. Open it up. And now we have the app. It tells us that it wants to do something. All right. And there's our app. Let's go ahead and run it. We need to make sure we select the simulator here. And now we can go to run without debugging. And hopefully it's going to work. Let's see. Now, while that is running, let's make sure we have the right data that we're passing. And so if we go into users, our user, we're going to go into orders. And we have two orders. We need to make sure that we have the right order information there, okay? So if we go into our app over here, we go into schema for the orders. We need to make sure we have source, destination, and driver position, which is, lat long and then a list of lat long. So we're going to go back here. And over here, we have two orders, right? We have an order with new, and then we have an order that's delivering. And this order that's delivering, we actually have some information, right? So close this, we have location. And that is not exactly correct. I believe it needs to be driver position, source, destination, driver position. So we need to make sure that it matches up correctly. So let's go ahead and add, a field. Source, this is going to be lat long, geopoint. We're going to add it to us in a second. Let's add another field, destination, geopoint. And so we have source, we have destination, and we have driver positions. So we're going to go back here and add driver positions. So driver positions, that's going to be an array of lat longs, right? Geopoints. Now I have this nice file here. We have the source and then we have the driver position. So we're going to copy that right here, paste that in there, and we can delete this location. And so we have driver positions. Let's get the source correctly. There's the source and we have the destination. We're going to add more driver positions in just a second. I just want to make sure that it works. So we have source, we have destination, oh, that's misspelled. I'm good I caught that because that's a pain. You don't want to misspell things. What is that? Destination. We need to delete that. There's no mix-up. So we have source, destinations, and we only have 1 point for driver positions, okay? And so now if you run the app, you pick your emulator here. We have Pixel 6. I come in here, run without debugging. It should hopefully look pretty good. All right, the app is loading. All right, there's our app. Let's come over here to view orders. We have our order here. We're going to click on it. We see the map, but we're also going to see the movement as well. See, it's moving here now. That's the point that I specified. And then it's going to make another point here. And there's another point right here. And I believe that is the last point. And I also gave it a name. I just put a random name, and you can put that in your custom widget here. So we scroll down. And so here we have info window title. I gave it Alex. That is all part of this custom widget, so you can configure it. And another thing that you can configure is you can configure the images that are shown in terms of the restaurant's image, the destination's image, as well as the user's image. All you need to do is go into your assets, images, and all I did was drag and drop the images that were provided to me by this plugin. And so all you need to do is click on repository GitHub. You're going to be on this page right here. And then you can go into assets and you have these three icons here. Here is the first icon. This is the driver. This is the restaurant. And obviously you can supply your own icons. You can even supply icons from your own app. But in this case, I just did right click. And I just saved it, and then I just dragged and dropped it into this folder, into this assets images folder. And so as a result, we have an app that basically has the driver moving those points. So remember, I specified those points in my database. So in my database, I have three positions. This is the first position, source, then we have this position, this position, this position. And in production, you're going to have some kind of an external process that's supplying these coordinates as the courier is moving. So as the courier is moving around, it's going to be supplying these coordinates. Another really nice thing about how we did it here is if you scroll down, you also have the time callback. So every time the driver moves from one point to another, it automatically recalculates the time that, the driver needs in order to get to the destination. It uses Google Maps navigation functionality. in order to calculate the time, and it also calculates distance. So if you want, you can also, have these modify a field in your database. So in other words, if we go to our delivery app, we have this order here. So we have like status delivering. You can also have a couple of more fields such as time left, distance left. You can modify that. And then inside of your app here, right? So you have your order status right here, right? You have your order tracking. You can specify these fields here. So all you need to do is you can just simply add another text field like this. You can wrap it in a column, and below it or above it, you can just specify this field to be, grabbed from the database. So we have this order document, and once you have these extra fields, you can just specify them there, and they're automatically gonna be modified by the app, as the courier is moving to its destination. So it's a very, very flexible system. But the best part is we have this real-time order tracking as the process is sending coordinates and adding those coordinates to that field. And so if you add more fields here, they're going to be displayed here as well. Now, one thing I would really want to add is a back button here, and you can add a back button right here by clicking this, and now you're going to have a back button. That way the user can come back and look at their other orders, or maybe come back to this order if it has been updated with some new information about the courier, or something else is happening. Now obviously you can customize this app any way that you want. You can change how the map is displayed. You can add some more features, add some more screens, add some more functionality. It's really up to you how far you want to take it, but at least this should give you an idea of what you have to do and what it takes to build a fully functional, feature-rich app. And remember, as always, this app, as well as all my apps, is going to be available from my Patreon, where you can view and or clone the app. So you can take all of this app, you can clone it, you can, build your own app, you can launch it into the wild, you can create your own, delivery service, food delivery, you name it. Or you can modify it, build some kind of business on top of it. And so if viewing and or cloning this app is something you might be interested in, then definitely check out our amazing Patreon community using the link in the description below the video, and consider becoming a member.